Good morning. Welcome to Unity and Marin. So good to see all of you. I'm Reverend Tim Lytle, and good to see all of you here in person and those of you who are with us online. Jason on piano. Thank you, Jason. Let's give Jason a hand. And Momo Cortez is our singer today, and Gabe Paulson is the platform assistant. And all of you, thank you for being with us. We are encouraging masks indoors following the Marin County guidelines. And those of us who are speaking on stage, who are vaccinated, we take those off while we're speaking, but we're so grateful that we're getting through this together, right? And next Sunday, we're going to start meeting at 10 o'clock, one service, outdoors. What time? Where? Outdoors. How many services? One service. So, call your friends, tell your friends. I don't know why, but people call me if they don't know the time and they're upset that they didn't know about the time. Would you call your friends and let them know? And we want to stay connected with you. That's why we have a text in church number that you can text and you can get that connection. And I send text messages and news out. So you can go to 415-991-7111. That's our text number. If you're relatively new to us, you can text the word welcome. If you've been with us for a while, you can text the word loop. And also another way that we connect is by a 4 o'clock Zoom meeting that we've been having for the last year and a half or however long the pandemic thing's been going on. We've had Sunday Zoom meetings weekly to connect with people so that we can go deeper into the message, so we can find out how each other is. And for some people, that's been a real lifesaver because some people have been very isolated during this time. So if you would like to join us wherever you are, it will be 4 o'clock Pacific time. Today, I will be leading that. The link you can find on our website at unityandmarin.org, and you can go to events, and under events, find virtual courtyard, and you can find the link there. So I'd love to have you join us on that. And I'd love for us to stand together as we sing our statement of truth together. So good to see you all here.
There is only one power, only one presence, active in all my life and in the universe. God the good in all, through all, and over all. There is only one power, only one presence, active in all our lives and in the universe. God the good in all, through all, and over all. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
And our prayer box is coming up at this time. Wendy, one of our prayer chaplains, is coming forward. You may wonder what a prayer chaplain is. They are people who've been trained to hold spiritual space with us for the spiritual community. They're available following the service to pray with you. A little later, Gabe will tell you how you can connect with them by phone, or you can also connect with their silent prayer circle online. And you can always call Silent Unity anytime, day or night, any day of the year, 1-800-NOW-PRAY, 1-800-NOW-PRAY. So they've been praying nonstop for over 125 years. And when you go to Silent Unity, you feel this vibe, you feel this energy of prayer. And that's really what we are grounded in. Yesterday, I was watching some of the news about 9/11. Do you remember where you were 9/11, 2001, do you remember exactly where you were? I do too. I'll never forget that. I was working at St. Francis Hospital in Wichita, Kansas, large medical center, and walking down the hall and saw on a TV there in the hospital. That's how I became aware of what was going on. 20 years have passed. Wow. We're still really dealing with the grief of that. And so we lift up all of those affected by that, those who were killed, the families affected, the first responders. And I also was watching a documentary yesterday about Roots of Peace. Heidi Kuhn and her husband, who have a business out based in San Rafael, but this work has been in Afghanistan, where for 20 years they've been using metal detectors to find landmines, primarily in farm fields, so that they can plant trees, they can plant grapevines, so that they can plant produce, so that Afghan farmers have a sustainable living. Some of their people are stuck there right now in Afghanistan. Heidi and her husband were able to get out, so we just hold them in prayer. We hold our world in prayer. A lot is out of balance in our world. I'm talking today about balance. A lot is out of balance, but I think about the people who are doing good in the world, like Heidi and her husband, like you, like me, where we are showing up as the light, showing up as the presence. So I invite you to take a deep breath. You can relax your gaze or close your eyes, whatever is comfortable for you. And as we follow the path of that breath, we go into that inner presence. That presence of God that is with us at all times, wherever we are. Wherever we are, God is. And so, Spirit, we open ourselves right now to that presence. We open ourselves to be the presence of peace, the presence of love, the presence of balance in a world that has lost its balance. We tune into this inner presence, knowing that this presence brings us to balance. This presence brings us to gratitude. This presence brings us to being the presence of God here in this world. And as we breathe into that, we lift up all those affected by 9/11. We lift up those affected by the events in Afghanistan. We lift up all the people of our world, knowing oneness together, knowing peace. And we know in this service the blessing, the peace, the anointing, the presence that is God, blessing the music, the spoken word, all that happens here, knowing it is all good, that it is all God, that it is touching us right at the point where we need it. And for this, we give thanks. We are grateful. We are filled with gratitude. And we say together, and so it is. Amen.
Good morning, Unity. So today, our daily word is guidance. And what an appropriate word for the times, and actually for all times. Guidance. I open my mind and heart to receive my guidance. Sometimes I've insisted on figuring things out for myself rather than asking for anybody's help. Over the years, I've also learned the value of asking for guidance and sharing what I've learned when others ask me. As we exchange ideas, we may tap into something else, tap into a higher wisdom that may not have been apparent to either of us alone. This higher wisdom is really not outside. It's a still, small voice mine to call upon anytime. I'm always able to ask for guidance and to show my way forward through that guidance. I access my inner guidance by opening my mind and my heart in prayer. Then I watch, I listen, and I remember that divine guidance may come in familiar ways, or it may come in an unexpected way that'll surprise or delight me. And from Scripture, for as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. So I invite you to put your feet on the ground and just relax for a moment. Take a breath. If you're online, maybe just sit up for a second to really feel your body and to get centered. And just for a second, check into your own feelings. Just listen. Maybe in your mind or your memory, hear one of those voices that you trust over the years. And then just listen as we go into the silence.
Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. That's the way of time. No one or nothing stays the same. The young become the old. Mysteries do unfold. That's the way of time. No one and nothing goes unchanged. There are not many things in life you can be sure of. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. Winter turns to spring. A wounded heart will heal. Never much too soon. No one and nothing goes unchanged. The young become the old. Mysteries to unfold. That's the way of time. No one and nothing goes unchanged. There are so many things in life you can't be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. And beautiful music makes me cry.
Thank you, Momo. That was gorgeous. That was gorgeous. And as Momo was singing, it just kind of occurred to me that right next to me is this beautiful, flower arrangement from Melanie Carter, and Momo singing this incredibly lyrical song, and Jason, and all of this really given from the heart, given volunteers. There are 20 or 40 volunteers that are constantly keeping this place going. And that's really something that you may want to think about. If the message here, if the sort of shining and radiance of goodness and wanting to influence the world that way is important to you, then consider giving of your time, giving of your talents, and if you can, giving of your money as well. And we have 3 ways to do that. You can do that online. Just go to the Unity site /donate, and that's an easy way. Or if you still write checks, you can mail it here. Or even easier, right now, you could text 843, what are the numbers up there, 84321, and donate that way. And even small donations, we know they go a long way. They show that we're really in this together, and it's part of the circulation here. So, and we also have, for those of you here today, the donation baskets at the back. So please consider that. And once again, we have Momo to sing us about giving and receiving.
Just as we give, so we receive. Rich we live in one golden weave. There is nothing that we can lack. We give from love, and love gives it back. Just as we give, love gives it back. There's a new world coming, and it's just around the bend. There's a new world coming, this one's coming to an end. There's a new voice calling, you can hear it if you try, and it's growing stronger with each day that passes by. There's a brand new morning, and it's sweet and clear and free. There's a new day dawning, and it's just for you and me. Yes, a new world's coming, you can hear it if you try, and it's all aflow with its day that passes by. There's a brand new morning, and it's clear and sweet and free. There's a new day dawning that belongs to you and me. Yes, a new world's coming, the one we've had visions of, coming in peace, coming in joy, coming in love, coming in love, coming in love, and love.
All right. Thank you, Momo. Thank you, Jason. And wow, it's good to see all of you here. And today I'm talking about balance. Have you ever lost your balance? Preferably at a time when a group is watching. I remember, you know, when I went to junior high, we didn't call it middle school then, it was junior high, and you started at that time junior high at 7th grade. And so I went from this one-story grade school to this big junior high middle school that, you know, was 3 stories high, and it had all these staircases, and you know, just adjusting to all of it and figuring out where the classrooms are, and suddenly I'm not just in one classroom all the time, I'm going to multiple classrooms, and I got to get my books, and I have a locker, and okay, I got to go up these steps. And as I remember, there were some upstairs and there were some downstairs, you know, and you had to find anyway, so I was going up the stairs, and have you ever fallen upstairs? So like somehow I tripped, you know, I wasn't focused, wasn't mindful, and I tripped, and all my books and papers go sprawling, and it's so embarrassing. You're wanting to fit in. You don't want to look odd, and I'm surrounded by my peers. Now, what do you think my peers did? Do you think they went, oh, let us help you. Oh, are you okay? Now, do you remember junior high? Do you remember middle school? So they're just laughing at me. You know, I'm embarrassed. I don't even remember if I was in pain or not, but the embarrassment was pain. And like, oh, good. This is how junior high is going to be. And it went downhill from there, you know. When you lose your balance, it's an awful feeling. It's like, oh, I'm going down and I can't stop it. When we lose our balance in life, wow, it's really a bad feeling. You may notice some of the symptoms like irritability, edginess, being in a hurry all the time, not ever doing self-care or silent and quiet meditation for yourself, not exercising. You may be having difficulty focusing, maybe in brain fog. Does any of this sound familiar? Yeah. Out of balance. I mean, I don't like being out of balance. And to some degree or another, much of my life has been out of balance. Oh, what to do, you know? I remember when I was in Wichita, Kansas, and I heard about this order of monks called the Benedictines. They're named after Saint Benedict. And the Benedictines, one of their primary things is about balance, having balance in life. And so I thought, oh, I want to get to that monastery. It's about 90 miles north, or about about 90 minutes drive north of Kansas City, Missouri, out in the pasture. You wouldn't even know it was there. It's a huge monastery and seminary college and beautiful place. And so I remember trying to find my way and driving through the farm country and hills and curves in the farm country of northern Missouri. And finally I began to see it. And I remember when I first saw the towers over the hillside, I thought, oh wow, my life is about to change. And I went to the monastery, went to my room, sat down on my bed, and it was entirely silent. I had rarely experienced entire silence before. I couldn't hear anything except the sounds of my own body. I could hear my own blood pressure, my own heartbeat. But it took me 24 hours just to wind down, to be in that presence, to be in that state of silence and quiet. Now, subsequent visits, after that, as soon as I got there, I was there. You know, I was in it. But that first time, I didn't realize how revved up my body was all the time. Some people don't like to do meditation. And I think one of the reasons is that people don't realize how much mind chatter is going on until they go into meditation. And then it's like a cacophony of noise and ideas and merging and sometimes conflicting impulses and desires. And so people tell me, oh, I can't meditate. Well, anyone can meditate. I mean, when I was in Wichita, Kansas, we took, grandchildren to the zoo in Wichita, and we went to the place where gorillas were. So there's this great gorilla exhibit where they live outside, and they're all kinds of great things. But they like to sit close to the glass and sometimes just interact with people. And sometimes they just go into a meditative state. I watched this one gorilla. I mean, he's just in a Zen state. He didn't have his fingers like this, but I mean, I thought, he is meditating. While all these people are watching him, he's meditating. I'm thinking, if a gorilla can meditate, we can meditate, right? So it's more a matter of learning how to do it, and I will be teaching a meditation class soon, looking at starting that in October. And my methodology of teaching people meditation is to work with the way your mind works. There is a form of meditation that works with the way your mind works. And there's lots of different forms of meditation: dancing, walking, eating. Did you know there's eating meditation? Well, doesn't that sound like fun? Where you're just very mindful and you smell the food, you feel it, you taste it. There's all kinds of ways to meditate. So we are out of balance in our society. Driving on 101, some of you watching online may not know about 101. If any of you are aspiring race car drivers, here's your invitation to come and drive on 101, because it's kind of like You know, for all those people who wish they were race car drivers, this is their opportunity. And I'm thinking, why are we in such a hurry? You know, and sometimes people are just going to the store or going to a restaurant and taking kids to school. You know, I'll say, cutting right in front of me, and then I'll see the bumper sticker, children inside, and I'm thinking, great. We are out of balance in our culture. And so when I see what's happening in nature, like on the West Coast with drought, wasn't it nice to have rain? Oh my goodness. I don't know what you did. I went out and stood in it. I went out on my back porch, raised my hands, and yelled for the whole neighborhood to hear my rejoicing that there was some rain. And then on the Northeast and East Coast, I mean, they had too much rain, and then the things going on in Afghanistan and the things happening in our world, it just feels out of balance. Well, how do we arrive at balance? I like this picture of the elephant standing on a chair that's on a tightrope, you know. Life feels that way at times. Finding balance. And another way to describe balance is the power of this month. Each month we look at one of the 12 powers. In Unity, we talk about 12 powers, innate abilities that we have that helps us to reveal and connect with the inner Christ. The inner Christ that we all have, that we all are. And the power of this month is order. Now, the color, some of you have on olive green. Okay, I don't have on olive green, but olive green is the color for this month, which represents order. When things are out of sequence, when things are out of order, there's imbalance. So I'm looking at the power of order from the standpoint of balance. How do we find balance? Well, when I think about those Benedictine monks, they have a Latin phrase, ora et labora, which means pray and work. Ora is prayer and labora, work. And so their whole life, the flow of the day, when you enter into this life of the monks there, the whole day is interspersed with prayer and work. 5 times a day they gather into the basilica to pray, and they're just in this state of prayer. And the ideal is to do their work in a prayerful, mindful way. Everything they do really is about mindfulness, being mindful of what they're doing, mindful about who they are, mindful of each person. I'm thinking, what a great model for each one of us to find balance. Do you sometimes lose your balance through the week? Do you start focusing on things that maybe aren't that important, and yet you find yourself obsessing about it? Once in a while, I do that. And I'll make comments, and I have such a great coach. She lives with me. And, you know, I got out of the car yesterday and I started this little commentary about, why is that person doing da-da-da and da-da-da? And she said, Tim, you just need to educate the world more. Surely you can educate people into being exactly what you want them to be. It's like, okay. So she just sort of checks me, you know, like, all right. So I get out of order. But when we are truly immersed in prayer, then we're not so worried about all the details all the time. I was thinking about Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founders of the Unity movement. They went to a lecture by E.B. Weeks, and E.B. Weeks used this particular quote that really caught Myrtle Fillmore's attention. Myrtle Fillmore had been given a terminal diagnosis of tuberculosis. She was told she would die in about 6 months. And they were at this lecture, and what they heard at this lecture was this: I am a child of God. Therefore, I do not inherit sickness. As a child, starting at age 5, Myrtle Fillmore was a little bit sickly, and she had a number of people in her family who had tuberculosis, and she was told it was inherited. She was taught that tuberculosis was inherited and that her sicknesses were inherited, that she had sickness because of the family she was born into, that she could not do anything about it. And so being at this lecture, Charles was there. Charles wasn't so impressed with the lecture. Charles was a little bit more skeptical. Charles had been educated up to about 6th grade. He lived on an Indian reservation. But then there was this tutor that was brought in, and this tutor taught Charles about philosophers and great writers, and Charles began studying a lot of deep ideas. But he was a bit skeptical. But Myrtle took this up. Myrtle determined, I'm going to use that affirmation every day. I am a child of God. Therefore, because she's a child of God, I do not inherit sickness. This was to counteract what she had been programmed to believe her entire life. It's a combination of affirmation and denial. The affirmation, and in Unity we use affirmations and denials. Affirmations are affirming the truth. We're giving a treatment to our subconscious mind because our subconscious mind, like a recorder, has been programmed by so many words, so many events. We've been programmed to believe things like Myrtle was taught she inherited sickness. Maybe you've been taught that you are not really all that. You're not much. Maybe you've been taught to think less of yourself. Maybe you've been taught that you're sickly. Maybe you've been taught that the world is against you. Maybe you've been taught that there's no way for things to improve in your life, that you're a victim. Maybe you've been taught that. Well, affirmations and denials are ways for us to do a treatment on our subconscious mind. So we use them every day. We repeat them through the day, so that they really begin to interact with that ingrained, embedded programming that is not in our highest and best good. That's the purpose. And so the affirmation in Myrtle's case was, I am a child of God. That was an amazing revelation to her, that she is the expression of God. And here's the denial part. Therefore, I do not inherit sickness. Affirmation is affirming truth. Denial is a gentle denying of giving energy to that which no longer serves us. When we moved here, we hadn't, anyway, I won't go into all that, but have you ever lived in Hawaii and then moved across the ocean and moved into an apartment? And anyway, so we didn't have a vacuum cleaner. We moved into an apartment that had carpets. Need a vacuum cleaner. I'm driving down the street. Someone threw out an old vacuum cleaner, so I took it home. It worked after a fashion. Now, after you ran it for about 10 minutes, the cord and the vacuum cleaner would get very, very hot. And I wondered, wonder how long I can work this before it catches on fire. So I'd unplug it every 10 minutes or so, let it cool down, and then start it back up, right? And the handle was kind of broken, kind of wonky, but, I'd learned to work this thing. And so I thought, how am I going to accomplish what I need to accomplish here? Well, okay, I got this vacuum cleaner. You use what you got to use. And I thought, wow, this vacuum cleaner is really out of balance. Right? Electrically, it's out of balance. You know, as I'm vacuuming, I'm thinking, I'm focusing on God because I realize it could be my last moment here on earth. So it was very prayerful. I was praying as I worked. I was doing the Benedictine thing. And what I realized is, you know, I need something new here. I need a newer vacuum cleaner. We got a good one, very little price. Again, kind of emphasizing how things can just get out of order in our life. You can feel it in your life when things are heating up, like that cord was heating up. It's getting uncomfortable. You're wondering, how am I going to make this work? And yet, it is a call to us to balance. Come to balance. Come to that place of prayer and knowing and affirming the presence, affirming that presence that ties everything together. We get out of balance because we forget our source. We get out of balance because we forget who we are. We get out of balance because we forget why we're here. We think that we're supposed to just be rushing around performing for others like some circus monkey instead of being the presence of God in action. We are here to be that presence of God, to let that presence come forth, to help wake each other up in this dream we've been in. So, immerse yourself in that prayer like Myrtle Fillmore took that affirmation and denial into prayer every day, and she would spend hours, rather I should say she invested hours every day in prayer. She would sit in a room, set up an empty chair for Jesus, and she would talk to the organs of her body. She would have a conversation, and she would ask their forgiveness for ever calling them weak, for ever calling them diseased. And she did this work for hours every day. And in 2 years, there was no illness, no disease. Charles, the skeptic, was like, maybe there's something to this. Charles had had a bad hip injury, at times necrotic, and the leg was smaller. He began doing this work. He actually lost what do you call those things? The braces on his leg. He didn't need those anymore. The leg actually grew longer. All of that, Myrtle Fillmore taking that affirmation and denial seriously was the beginning of the unity movement. That was the real beginning. And when they began to experience this prayer power in their own lives, other people wanted to experience it. And so they would have times together of knowing the truth together and prayer together. And people would line up on the sidewalk. You remember like Christmas sales where people will camp out all night and to get a Christmas thing. But anyway, and line up on the sidewalk. People would line up on the sidewalk to pray and know the truth of their being. And that's what our prayer chaplains are here to help remind us of. Is the truth of our being. And people would experience huge changes in their lives as they would begin to find balance. So, monks taught me about pray and work. They also taught me about leisure and service. Those monks know how to have fun. Yeah, they're monks, but they know how to have fun too. And great bunch of guys to be with. And they taught me about the inner journey and the outer journey. That you run out of gas if you're just out there working all the time. And if you're just doing the inner work all the time, then you're going to have spiritual indigestion. You need to have a balance of both, the inner journey and the outer journey. So in unity, yes, we practice affirmations and denials, but we don't just stop there. We put feet to our affirmations and denials. So in our 5 basic principles in unity, the third principle tells us that, and some people call this the law of mind action, that those things that we are nurturing and holding onto in our spirit, in our feelings, in our thought, that those things we are drawing ourselves to, or we are creating that experience in our lives. The 5th principle, so the third principle really speaks to affirmations and denials, and would say that worry is even a form of prayer. Not a helpful form of prayer, but worry is a form of prayer because we are holding in consciousness what we think is going to happen. So it's considered kind of prayer in reverse, the anti-prayer. And our 5th very big principle is that we act on these principles. We don't just affirm and do denials and do our meditation, but we also get out in the world. Like when, there's been injustice and inequity in our world for centuries. And in our country in the last couple of years, we've really been focusing on it since the murder of George Floyd and other things that have happened. And some of my unity friends are like, we need to just affirm and know the truth. And I respect that, and yet, if we are truly affirming and truly knowing the truth, we will also act on it. We will put feet to our prayers. We will get involved. If someone gets hit, I remember driving down a highway, and there was a big crash. I didn't just sit in the car and say, let's just affirm and know that they are okay. I was affirming and praying while I ran to their car to give assistance while blood was all over the place. If we're really going to live the principles, we get active, we get involved. We don't just sit back. So prayer and affirmation is the inner journey, and then we do the outer journey of being involved, and it's a balance. So people who are always on the outer journey, always doing, are exhausted if they're not doing the inner work. And people who are always doing the inner work and are not getting involved out in the world are spiritually constipated. It's all coming in, but nothing's going out. You can take that with you. Chew on that. So the inner journey and the outer journey are important. Have that in balance. Self-care. Man, we need to do that. We need to do self-care, take care of ourselves, and also be in service to others. And we need to be in a spirit of prayer so that in our meditation and prayer, we take that spirit with us in whatever work it is we do in the world. There's a janitor that I know. He's in Hawaii. And this janitor and groundskeeper would take care of the grounds at Unity Church of Hawaii. And he's Hawaiian. And it was his work was his prayer. So when he went around the campus, everywhere he worked, he was praying that this landscape would speak to people and bring them peace, that this landscape and this clean bathroom and how he would take care of the carpets would in some way touch someone's life and inspire them. And while he was working, he'd be singing. He would sometimes come into the office and sing to me. He considered it a ministry, and it was a ministry. I don't like to share much about when I talk with people about their salaries and stuff. It's very confidential type stuff. I won't tell you how much he was paid, but when I saw how much he was paid, I thought, man, he does so much work. I got to give him a big raise. And I called him in and announced to him that he was making this much, but I wanted to give him this much. And I thought he'd be like, way happy and ecstatic. He said, Reverend Tim, that's too much. I'm like, what? Not used to that. Not used to employees disagreeing with me that I'm paying them too much. It's like, you do so much, you do. And I'm not, don't get the wrong message here. I'm for financial prosperity. I want you to be blessed. But he said, Reverend Tim, this is a ministry to me. Why don't you give me this much? So he was shining the light, doing custodial work and touching people's lives. If any of you in Hawaii are watching, tell John Ahuna I said hi. You can be doing anything and be experiencing and projecting the light, the love, the presence that God is. It's our choice how we are going to address life. It's our choice what our attitude is going to be. If we choose our attitude in such a way, we can experience life as heaven, or we can experience it as hell. How do you choose to live your life? I want to live it in balance. If you would, repeat these affirmations after me. Where I am.
Where I am.
The presence of God is.
The presence of God is.
And where God is, there is balance. There is peace. I am committed to the inner journey and the outer journey. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting by, well, that's how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. A blossom in a tree, that's the way I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean. Butterflies having fun, you know what I mean. sleep in peace when the day's done. Well, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world in a bold world for me. Stars when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, that's the way I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Jason.
Thank you, Momo. Wow, that was beautiful. And Jason, and and thank you, Reverend Tim. What a really good message today. And thank you. And I was thinking again, listening to the message. I don't know if some of you have had that experience when you get afraid, how your vision just kind of goes like that into a tunnel. And it occurred to me that sometimes we're really out of balance because we're afraid. And how much fear there is going around right now. And thank you, Reverend Tim, for the reminders that, what we really teach here is simple. We pray, we affirm, we deny, we do it together as a community. And that way we find trust again. That way we find good and love. And that kind of gives us the balance, the courage to be in balance. So thank you for the message. And we have quite a few announcements before we close the service. And the first is from Reverend Deanne, who's appearing virtually about the fall book study. So Reverend Deanne, go.
Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here with you remotely by video. First off, I want to thank everyone who had anything to do with World Day of Prayer. It was such a beautiful, wonderful evening. If you haven't had a chance to see it, you can still catch it on our YouTube channel. But just a huge thank you out to the prayer chaplains who just did such an incredible job creating the altars and creating the holding consciousness as we all came together, to everyone who was part of making this possible. It really did take a village, the staff and everyone who volunteered their time, Alan for dimming the lights for us. Really just thank you, thank you, thank you. It was a beautiful, beautiful vigil, and just so grateful to be part of a community that places prayer as being one of the priorities for what we are and what we anchor for the world. So in addition to my thank yous for World Day of Prayer, I also want to let folks know about the upcoming book study. So if you haven't heard yet, the book that we're going to be reading is Finding Yourself in Transition by Robert Brummett. It really is a wonderful book that is designed to guide you through the process of what transition is so that we can understand it better and we can be more conscious about how we engage with transition and transformation so that we actually can turn transition into transformation. It's going to run for 7 weeks. It's going to begin the week of September 20th. It runs through the week of November 4th. And there are a variety of different study groups that are meeting in a variety of places. Some of them are in people's homes. Some of them are virtual. They are at different times of the day during the week. So I'm sure that there's something that will work for everyone. Please do know that the groups are starting to fill up. So don't hesitate to make sure that you sign up today. You can do it in the courtyard on one of the clipboards, or you can actually do it online through the registration process that is on online. It's really going to be a wonderful, wonderful experience to move through this book together as sacred community. So peace and blessings, everyone. I will see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Deanne. And as she said, outside today, if you're here in the courtyard, you can sign up. And if you're watching online or any which way, you can go ahead and do it online. And I see a hand raised in the back. I know this isn't a class, but yes? Oh, and then the foyer also is a place to sign up. Thank you, Christine. I love it. Anybody else? Anybody? So we also have a town hall meeting coming up, and another chance to reconnect. Just like the book study, it's these intimate moments that we have. You know, if you're online, I hope you feel some of the connection. You've either been here or just know that it's a bunch of nice people here. So the town hall meeting is a chance to see Reverend Deanne and to get to know the education program that she's going to continue to evolve, and what an important part of our ministry. As I think Reverend Tim mentioned, in the first week of October, we have a blessing of animals, and it's just a great chance. Some of us are really close to our pets and to animals in general, so you can bring your animal in, and part of the service is a gift. So what a great thing. We've done this for many years, so thanks for that service too, Reverend Tim. One other way to connect here are our membership classes, and I have to be honest and say that it took me many years to, get off my cowboy horse and actually come into the saloon. And I think it's really, really a wonderful, wonderful way to, again, get to know people. And it's the intimacy of small groups. It's, having a little more time to find something here that resonates for you, whether it's balance or whether it's love or whether it's something about work or relationships. There is a lot going on, and that can be taught. And the classes are now on Zoom, so they're very convenient, and it starts on October 10th. So I can't say enough good stuff. It's really helpful. Our flower sponsor today was Melanie Carter. Thank you, Melanie. And aren't those beautiful flowers? They're really inspiring. And she's doing this in honor of Alan Kruger. We've heard the name already. He had been one of the Hawaiian, has been really servicing our community through his labor of love and keeping the place, tidy and maintained. So thank you, Alan. And Beverly Weinkopf actually arranged the flowers. And if you're called to do something like this, it's a nice way to plug in. You could be a hospitality sponsor. I did it, I think, a few weeks ago in honor of my wife, and it's something that any of you can do, and just a chance to really feel like you're a part of this and to show some of the beauty and love. Prayer chaplains. Are there any prayer chaplains? Of course, please rise. And these are the people who support our message and foundation of prayer. So the four lovely people today are available to anyone in the narthex, and online you can call and connect. I have to say, in the first service I did a prayer, and it's just wonderful. The voice, the unconditional presence. Prayer chaplains, thank you so much for your prayer, and please take advantage of them. So finally, let's close out by saying our prayer of protection. If you would rise as you're able, we'll say this together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And let's sing our peace prayer together.